lucky to have the filmmakers here, so please welcome Lonnie, the director of the film, and Elizabeth, director of photography. Thank you so much for being here and making Box of Rain. I can't get over the rain today. It's still like awestruck. Before I open up to questions to the audience, I wanted to ask you both first if you're musicians at all, or play or sing music yourselves.
No, but I married one.
I love seeing the people like playing the acoustic guitar at the shows. How did you come across the archival footage? Was it from the person who was making the 10-year-long project?
A lot of the footage was. We were really fortunate. We put the word out into the community that we were making this film, and people let us use their footage, photos, memories for free. I mean, that's what this community's about. But yeah, Brian actually invited us to his home in Colorado to drive out and pick up the master of his film and use any footage we wanted.
Wow.
And that put us up overnight at his ghost town. He lives in a ghost town. Put us up overnight, fed us, and just super sweet people. Again, and that's what we encountered everywhere we went. What I
Did you both want to share your experiences making the film? Is there anything you want people to know about, whether with the role you served on the film or things that happened, any stories you want to tell? We could start with you, Elizabeth.
What I would say about the film is that we started in 2010. Yeah, this was filmed over like 10 years. Yeah, filmed and edited over 10 years. And we did not start out with the intentions of making a documentary at all. It was started out with recording memories. We thought maybe we'd do a website or like a YouTube channel, or just record some interviews and capture the memories of Deadheads that were aging. And then Lonnie moved out to California and got involved in filmmaking and totally changed the direction.
Yeah, same. I think we started off thinking that we would preserve memories from Deadheads there were people who were starting to pass away in our community. So we wanted to preserve those memories, and I think we found a theme. When we started speaking to people, there were common themes that came up over and over again when we interviewed them, and we thought, well, this could be a film. So.
Any questions? Yes?
What interview surprised you the most? Like, who you interviewed? Which one was like really surprising?
What interview surprised you the most?
You want to go?
Yeah, I guess I would say the interview that surprised me the most was Peter Connors, who was filmed at Canandaigua Lake. So we had the lake behind him. And that was one of the second to last interviews, and it was done during the pandemic. Yeah. We were looking for somebody to speak more, what would you call it?
Like an expert?
Like an expert on the Grateful Dead, and I put it out into the Rochester, New York Deadhead Facebook page, and some people, sent me his name, and he was just perfect. Like, I mean, he could have been he could have been his own documentary. Yeah, so that was very surprising.
I would say Brian, because we didn't expect to interview him. We just thought we were going to pick up footage, and he wasn't interested in being interviewed at all. In fact, it always cracks me up when you see the part where he walks in to his disc. He used the money from his film to buy a part of a ghost town, and there's a disc golf course there. Ghost town disc golf in Colorado. Go visit. And it's funny when you watch it, you can see his mouth. He goes, "How'd you get in here?" He wasn't expecting us to go inside there, but he never planned to be interviewed. And we spent so much time with him, and I think we really bonded. And the next day, he's like, let's go ahead and do this. So it was pretty amazing. He had great stories to tell. Great question. Thanks, Gary.
On the topic of home, community, even mental health, is there anything you want to share about the role of music today in your life, in the world, or for children, whatever you want to say about those two topics?
You don't want to know?
Well, I'll say that I'm not a Deadhead. I don't really know any of the music except the hits. But I did find that some of the themes, that were spoken in the film kind of, still related to my own experiences, even though it wasn't Grateful Dead music. So I did kind of connect with the film in that way, even though I'm not a Deadhead.
I think, I don't know. Obviously I'm married to a musician. I think there is healing there, I think, because when you go to a concert, usually you aren't talking about a lot of politics or things that you don't have in common, because you've all agreed to go to that show because you like that band. And I think it's very healing to go someplace where you have something in common with people and you're just there to enjoy yourselves. Mental health, honestly, I can say that my interview was not ever supposed to be in that film. That was never my intention.
It's all Elizabeth's fault.
Yeah, I never wanted my interview to be in there. Honestly, and
That's why I said that.
but I have had a lot of people who have reached out to me and said that watching the film was very helpful to them, so I am happy that I did that.
Oh, yes, question.
Yeah, I really enjoyed hearing how the Deadhead community music was a transformative experience for people and how they express that. And yours particularly, Lonnie. But I'm wondering what was the inspiration? How did you get the idea to go on that trip to hear the Grateful Dead when you weren't familiar with them? How did that come about?
So I was working at a group home for people with developmental disabilities, and my boss was a Deadhead. And I was sleeping in my car a lot at that time, and I slept in the driveway of the house where I was working quite a bit. And I think she knew I had stuff going on, and she had tickets to go see the Grateful Dead at Red Rocks. I was in Maryland, and she said, I'll give you tickets for all of the shows, but you got to drive me out there. So, and it just, we formed a bond along the way. When you're driving to shows, you're typically staying at places with other Deadheads because people are on the road getting to these shows. So you start meeting people before you even get to the concert. So it was like just this healing, transformative journey.
Yes.
First, a few comments. There are so many things I love about what you guys did in this film. First of all, it's impressive to see the amount of material that you had to work with, and then what it took to pull it together in such a really compelling narrative. I love the combination of men and women. There was it felt really kind of an equal sort of back, forward between the male experience and the female experience. I also was impressed with some of the transitional things. They were just little things that popped in here and there. And I'm not a Deadhead. I was a square when I was listening to John Denver and Bread. But anyway. But I also love the feeling of, I mean, the one message that comes really strongly out of the film is the mystical power of music, and something that we need more of in our culture, right? We should all be dancing every day for about an hour at least, before work or whatever, together. But those transitional moments, like when, I forget who it was talking about, the water, and then that water, and then the grass with the dew and stuff like that. So how did you guys collaborate when you were in post in terms of choosing what went where and so forth, like to, kind of like including the interviews and stuff like that? Like how did you collaborate on that?
I'm going to pass this to Elizabeth first. I do want to point out that Elizabeth won Best Documentary Feature Editor at the Toronto Women's Film Festival for How did we collaborate to come up with the transitions?
Well,
Because we did it during the pandemic.
we did it during the pandemic, yeah, and it was largely on Zoom.
I mean, how did you choose what what was that process of coming to the, yeah.
I think the first step was just kind of cutting together a rough cut, and that was something I probably did primarily on my own. We talked it over, and like I said, this was a 10-year process. Like we had sat down and edited several years earlier, 2017 maybe, 2018. We sat down in Rochester, wherever, and edited a little bit. Then we shot some more interviews, and I think at that point we felt we were ready to put it all together. So after the rough cut, that was really when Lonnie and I would spend all day on Zoom, kind of watching it and just kind of picking out what worked, what images worked, what video, what archival footage, and what stock footage we wanted to use.
I definitely wanted to use things that were related to nature. I felt like it flowed and moved with the subject matter. And I agree with you about music, yeah. Oh, that's true.
Question in the back, yes.
I also have to admit, I feel like I missed out. I never did. I have friends who go, but I'm interested in the whole idea of, do you see any hints that there could be other bands that might lead this kind of community? Because as the person ahead of me just said, it seems like we really need this. We need that release of being able to be together, feel safe, feel like everyone is in a good place, dancing. I mean, those are things that are kind of elemental, and I think we've gotten away from that in our culture. So I'm just wondering, are there any sparks in hope for us that some big group will be able to get that in somewhere?
Can you make us a playlist of bands?
Are you starting it? Well, maybe your husband is going to be.
Sean's a metalhead, but I went to Skull and Roses Festival in Ventura, California, earlier this year, and there were so many bands. Fish is one of the big ones, String Cheese Incident. Wolf Brothers is Bob Weir. There are a lot of bands in that. The cool thing is that younger people have sort of discovered the lifestyle and the music and living on the road. And a lot of them have reached out to me. They sell stickers now instead of the friendship bracelets, because you can get those everywhere. They make stickers, they make shirts, they make food, all kinds of cool stuff. Soap. There was like Deadhead soap when I was there last time for dreadlocks and stuff. But the scene is still out there. You can still find it. And the cool thing is you go there and there are people in like little hover scooter things cruising through Shakedown Street, and then there are 20-year-olds and riding their bicycles with whirligig things on the back of them, and it's like it can reach every generation. So yeah. check out Skull and Roses. They do it every April in Ventura, California.
For particular bands, I would say Sound Tribe Sector 9 has like a similar vibe with the audience at their shows. People are dancing. People will like follow the band on tour to different locations. That's the one I can think of. You had a question?
Just, I guess, a comment and a question. The part of the film that kind of stood out to me was that the transformative moments, the moments where the people being interviewed made their connection with the band. And I only saw 2 shows, but I had a friend who was a Deadhead and convinced me to go down to Eugene, like in the songs, to see the Dead. And I didn't know what it was all about, but there was just that moment where the crowd was doing the wave at the same time, and the band started playing along with it, and it was disorienting, but it was magical. And so it's like, and then I ran into people I knew from years before, from different parts of the country, and it's like, so yeah, I just got a taste of it, but it was great. And so that's just a comment, but my question is, how did it work with the cat on the road trip? I was wondering, so it's on the theme of the film, the cat.
And there's cool photos of the cat on your shoulder.
Like the edge of
Yeah, near the window.
driving? Like, how? Talk about the cat.
That was Tiki. I'll talk about the cat. She lived in the car with me for a long time. I got, you know the shallow boxes you get from liquor stores that beer is in?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I used for litter boxes in the car. She slept wherever I was. She lived in the tent. She was just super cool. She was like everybody's cat every place we went.
But she wasn't flighty, she didn't scratch.
Nothing. She sat on my shoulder while we drove. She loved to
Great.
watch the cars. She was a really cool
That's awesome.
kitten. Yeah.
She was a cool cat.
She was
Literally a cool cat, yeah.
Thank you for mentioning her, by the way. She was a big part of that trip.
Yeah.
I think Elizabeth said when she was editing, she showed a rough cut to someone and her friend was asking what happened to the cat or something. The cat could have had its own film.
Yes.
Or a spin-off.
Yeah, right? Tiki's road trip.
Grateful cat.
Nice.
Nice.
Hard to top that.
What do you think as far as, I mean, this is just kind of a maybe general philosophical question. For schools, for kids these days, as far as music, performing arts, what do you think there should be more taught about or of, or things considered? What would you say to educators out there in the world?
You have a son in high school, do you want to talk about it? I would say that it's a shame to see those classes disappearing from schools, certainly, and that it's such a universal language. Music is universal. You can go to other countries, and if you can't speak the language, you can tell what someone's feeling by the music that they're playing, or what they're trying to convey just by what, you know, the tone. So, you know, in such a busy, crazy world where we're all so connected to our devices, it would be a really interesting opportunity for us to recognize how important it is to disconnect from that and connect to the thing that's universal in all of us, which is to create and connect with each other. And the things we create bring us together. And it builds those bridges, and I would love to see more people doing that.
Bravo.
Our next project is also about a arts program that is about to be cut. Yeah, so I guess kind of fits in with the theme of, yeah, you agree that it's important to save arts.
I forgot, totally. Wasn't even thinking about that, but yes, we're working with a group of students who are trying to prevent their theater program, their puppetry majors, which I didn't realize was a major. And their college is trying to cut their program and cut their funding. So they're trying to save that program. And we're working with them to create a film and maybe save another cool program from getting cut.
I have a really heavy question. What happened to your rapists? And did you ever confront them, charge them, tell your family about them? And why did you choose to keep that in the movie? Because it's really heavy and triggering for a lot of women, and then it never comes up again. I kept looking for some justice or some healing or some direct, relatable event, but yet there wasn't. And so you have this really intense thing that happened to you, and then the rest is just kind of about the Grateful Dead. And I'm like, well, what the hell? You know, she goes home. So what's the story there?
No, I got it. I didn't go home, really. I was living in my car already. There are a lot of things that didn't make it into the final cut for legal reasons, where we talked about my family. I did talk to people, and nothing was done. Basically, I was wearing tight jeans and was drunk when I got in that car, so that was my fault.
So it was your fault, yeah.
Yeah, that was my fault. Nothing happened to them. I did have one of them reach out to me on social media to try to apologize and talk about what a jerk one of the other guys was, and I told him, you know, you were all assholes, and we should all be in jail.
Yeah.
And he just said he was sorry he didn't protect me, because he was one of my closest friends. But really nothing happened after that. I went back to Maryland, kept sleeping in my car and at other people's houses. Carrie, I love you. And then I got married really young to my husband sitting right over there, and started a whole different journey. But there wasn't really a lot of healing anytime after that, and there were no repercussions for them. I will tell you that one of the men who raped me, the ringleader, has been in trouble for decades, since the same year he hurt me for harming women, and nothing ever happens to him. He gets away with it every time. And that felt shitty to put in the film, so we didn't really address it. I think we were looking for the uplifting part, which was I did find a safe community where I could hang out with men while I was drunk, and no one hurt me. And these were people I had just met who were kind to me versus people I had known since elementary school who weren't. Did that answer it all the way? And I'm sorry if it was triggering for...
No, well, it was slightly triggering, but I was looking for justice.
Yeah, I'd like that too.
Or maybe I just wanted to be hit over the head with like that you were okay and how you became okay. And clearly you made this movie and you spoke your truth, and so thank you for that.
Thank you. I think I'm okay now in so far as it's safer for women to say those things now without being asked why you were wearing tight Jordache jeans that night. So it's cool that you can say those things now without being judged as much. So I think that is a victory.
And I'm also glad about the story with the guy with the boner and the hug, because, you know, come on.
Yeah.
Stuff is happening at those shows. It's not like it's 100, you can have 600,000 people for a show and all the women are safe. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
So
that's true. I mean, the shows, anyone can show up. So you just don't know, but the community that travels place to place, they take care of each other because you have to. I mean, you're out there by yourselves on the road, men, women, their kids, my cat. I mean, everyone is sort of taking care of each other as you go place to place. And that was sort of, I think the whole point for me was that's where I found it. I didn't find it in my home. I didn't find it in my hometown. Didn't find it with the legal system. But I found it with a bunch of people that everyone thought were freaks. You know, the 80s, everyone looked a certain way. These people did not. The freaks saved me, and they didn't hurt me. So I guess that's some measure of justice.
Question?
Sorry.
Yeah, I have a comment, I have a question, I've got a whole story. I want to commend you for being so open about your life. I don't think there's anything that I would like to see from my life on the screen and share with other people. I'm not that brave. I can't even admit that I'm a square. But yeah, I really thank you for that. And I think that it's going to help people who've been through similar situations. One thing that you mentioned in there, and I'm a mom, so I'm going to bring this up, but you said that some of the themes and some of the things that you learned while you were with this community, you brought into your parenting, and I would like to know what you brought into that. Did you
Openness.
dance every day in your living room?
We did. We did.
Because I did that before I came here.
We did. We danced with our kids all the time. I would say openness and honesty, which those are things, and acceptance, those are things I wasn't offered in my family of origin. But seeing those virtues or seeing those happen with other families helped me see how to be a better mom. And Betsy, who is a great mom and just has such a big heart, it really helped me to be a better person. I don't think the person I would have been if I had just stayed in my family of origin in my hometown and not met the dead, or the Deadheads, I don't think I would have been as good a mom.
And we raised 3 boys, and they're all very compassionate, and it's all because of her.
They're very compassionate, they're very open and accepting, and they are not afraid to pick up and move to a completely different country, state, town, whatever. They have that wanderlust, I think. But yeah, Adam, does that answer your question? Yeah.
Oh, I have another question.
We have time for, a few more. Go ahead.
What kind of music do you listen to with your kids at home? Because I found that a lot of my music was not appropriate for their ears. And so I had to cut a lot out, and as they're growing up, they're reintegrating, but I feel like I've lost some years of good music listening.
Our kids loved Cat Stevens and Elton John, Sean, my husband. Well, that's him. That's him. Sean actually just took 2 of our boys. One flew down from Seattle. The other one was in LA, and they just went to see Elton John together. So we still go see concerts together with our sons. They listen to a lot of Cat Stevens, Elton John, Grateful Dead, Tori Amos. They listen to a lot of different things. And by the way, I just wanted to say that when we talked to publicists and other people and told them about this film, it's really wild how many bands have fans that follow them all over the place. One of the publicists we spoke with knows a whole group of women who go see Tori Amos every time she plays. I didn't realize there were that many bands that had followings like that.
Any other questions? I do want to ask, do either of you have a CD player?
I do.
And do you have a copy of the Live at Winterland concerts?
Oh, I have a few.
Do you have like the box set?
No.
Because I hope it's... I know Thanksgiving already passed, but the holiday season's still here. I wanted to give this to you.
Oh my God.
As a gift. Thanks for making the film. No, it's an epic. There's like the jam 20, like they said in the movie, the 20-minute, 30-minute jam sessions.
I'm there for it. That's amazing. Thank you. I know someone who would try to steal this if she showed up.
There's a little pin in there too.
Oh, thank you so much.
Did either of you want to say anything else before we go, or about your latest projects or anything coming up?
I do want to say that Elizabeth and I brought stickers for everyone. If you're into slaps, there are a bunch of stickers back there. Take any, as many as you want, please. And thank you, everyone who didn't already know us and love us, who came in. So much appreciation and love. A bunch of people, so we appreciate that.
We have one more screening before the holiday. It's called Citizen. I'm Not Losing My Mind, I'm Giving It Away. It's a film that's made by William Farley, a local San Francisco filmmaker. It hasn't been shown in like 40 years. It's basically a series of performers walking around the streets of San Francisco and giving these monologues that are about, society, and they get philosophical and pretty wild. So if you if you're interested, come back again. There's a lot of jazz performances every Saturday. There's jazz, and downstairs is the museum. So hopefully we'll see you again. Thank you for coming out, everybody. Have a good night.
Did you catch the daisy thing?
Do you want to use this to protect it?